should you flower selecting before or after you play Battle VIP Pass? This is a question that's been asked a lot on Pokemon Twitter, and the answer may not be as simple as you'd think. To better understand this question, let's take a look at sequencing. Sequencing in the Pokemon trading card game is basically deciding what cards to play or use in what order. In the Pokemon trading card game, we have a lot of actions to take. Whether that be using our Pokemon's abilities or playing cards in hand, there's oftentimes a lot we do in one turn, and this involves both drawing cards from our deck and target search from our deck. Examples are if you're playing Gardevoir, you have Level Ball or Ultra Ball, and you have your refinements. Do you draw cards before you play the Ultra Ball, or do you Ultra Ball before you refinement? And then in Lost Zone variants, we have Mirage Gate or Nest Ball and Chorus, both cards we want to play in the same turn. And of course, the Battle Pass and Flower Selecting. We have Battle Pass searching from the deck and Flower Selecting drawing from the top of our deck. So let's break down these two types of deck manipulation. Targeted search is where you specifically take cards from your deck and put it in your hand. This is a constant. You know what's going to happen. This is not going to change. The only variable here is prize cards, and for the purpose of this, we can assume that you know what they are, and that is a constant. However, card draw is variable. You don't know what you are going to get. You have a random chance of drawing any card in the deck from the available card pool that is your deck. Obviously, you can't draw cards that you've played that are on the field or in your prize cards. How do we make sure that the probability of our draws, which is statistically random, is skewed towards our favor? So keep in mind the outcome of all these sequencing tactics are minimal by themselves. But when you're in a match and let's say you sequence correctly 10, 20, 30 times, the results will add up to your favor. So do we search the deck first or do we draw first? So let's think about what we're actually asking here. Do we want to search our deck, which means taking specific cards out of the available card pool to draw, or do we want to draw cards with those specific cards still in the deck? So think about it this way. If you play an Ultra Ball for a Pokemon and then you draw cards, your odds of drawing into that Pokemon will be one less because it is not in your deck anymore. So this is why, as a rule of thumb, if you need more of that specific card or type of card than your searchable card searches for, as a rule of thumb, you should definitely draw before you search. Likewise, if you don't want to see the card when you draw, let's say you're going for a game-winning boss or a supporter card in general, you should search the card before drawing. And this is to lower the probability of drawing into that card, which is not desirable here. So let's dive into some examples. So the most obvious example here is playing Lugia V-Star. In this deck, we have Archeops to accelerate energies from our deck to our Pokemon on the field. So when you have a supporter such as Professor's Research, should you use Archeops before or after you play Research? So let's rephrase the question. Do we want to be drawing into energies off of Research? I'm guessing that the answer is no, because we have no way of attaching multiple energies from our hand. It is only from our deck. So if we play Research before Archeops, draw into all those energies, and we'll say, I can't do anything. I can't touch all these energies. And now I can't Archeops for them because they're in my hand. So of course, in this case, we want to use Archeops first, pulling those energies out of the deck, thereby thinning it so that when we play Research, we won't draw into them. And also just playing the game how Lugia intended. Similarly, if we're playing a Lost Box or Giratina deck, and we have a card such as Mirage Gate and Chorus in our hand, we should probably Mirage Gate before we Chorus if we don't want to be drawing into those energies. Now, there's sometimes where we do and we want to be like attaching a Psychic or using concealed cards, for example, but assume you have a couple energies in hand, you don't want to draw into more energies, play the Mirage Gate, take them out of your deck, and then you play Chorus, which means you'll be digging 2 cards deeper and you won't have to worry about lost zoning those energies off of Chorus. So let's tackle the Battle Pass Comfy example again. So if you can get enough basics to do what you need to do during your turn with the hand that you have, you should probably play the Battle Pass before Flower Selecting because we don't want to draw into those basics. We want them to be already out such that when we Flower Select, we are going deeper into the deck. Now, if for some reason you want to see more basics off of Flower Selecting and you say, I have 1 Battle Pass in my hand and nothing else, I'm going second, it's my first turn, and I need to use Cramorant and get Manaphy out, for example, then you want to Flower Select first so you can have a higher likelihood of grabbing that Pokemon so that you can Battle Pass for more Pokemon. Your opinion and everyone else's opinion might differ than mine, but just keep in mind the question. Do we want to draw into a card pool with more of the targeted card or less of the targeted card? So in the Battle Pass example, we want to thin the deck so we can dig deeper with Comfy. However, in some instances, this is actually flipped. Take Chin Pao, for example. You always have that Shivery Chill concealed cards combo every single turn. Let's say you have an Irida in your hand. Do you want to concealed cards before or after Irida? So in my opinion, because item cards are so good, you wouldn't mind drawing before using Irida and grabbing that rare candidate you need off of concealed cards such that you can Irida for another item card. And this is what I meant when I mentioned the available card pool in the deck. Drawing cards, I want as high of a likelihood as possible I draw into my item card, and then I can Irida to go a little bit further and pull out from the deck another item card that would benefit me. And even though this is vastly different than the Comfy Battle Pass example, it shows how different circumstances in Pokemon can call for vastly different outcomes. In Lost Box, we don't want to be drawing into more Pokemon, so we'll play the Battle Pass to get them out of our deck, and maybe we can flower selecting into something like a Chorus. In Chin Pao's example, we just want as many item cards as possible, right? Item cards are broken in that deck. We can use it to attack, we can use it to get more back Excalibur, we can use it to switch our Pokemon. So now we can extend this concept of using constants and variables in the Pokemon trading card game to your advantage by looking at a few other instances. Let's say you're running Pokestop in your Lost Box deck. Should you Pokestop before you flower selecting? Should you concealed cards even before using Chorus Experiment? Which one do you do first? And my answer to this is always card draw before the selection or the chorus. And this is simply because selecting which cards to remove from the game forever is difficult, and you want to make it as easy as possible. By drawing cards before we use flower selecting or chorus, we are adding more constants to our hand. We are adding more things that we know, and then when we play chorus, we don't have to think as hard because we already know what we have. We already have more cards to play with, and we don't need to take those cards from the chorus or the Comfy. And it's not even just about making them easier. It's more about just playing optimally. We're able to dig deeper. We're able to say, I got a Mirage Gate. I got the Mirage Gate I need to win. Now when I play Chorus, maybe I can Lost Zone a Mirage Gate and grab something else I can use this turn or maybe even next turn. Similarly with Pokestop, a lot of the times we want to use that before we use Chorus or Comfy or make any sort of deck search even. We use Pokestop, see what items we hit, and then from that, we know, okay, now we have these items in my hand. We don't need more of them or other cards that do the same effect. So now our flower selectings and our choruses, we're going to Lost Zone the card we don't need with this new information. So again, everything's about this known versus unknown. Let's take a look at Guardy EX again. When we have concealed cards or worker available to us in Gardevoir, should we play the Level Ball first or should we concealed cards or worker? In Level Ball's case, I would rather draw more cards and see if we actually hit a Kirlia off of that concealed cards such that we can dig deeper and play Level Ball and get another Kirlia. So this example is really similar to Chin Pao in that Kirlias at early stage of the game in Gardevoir are really good and we want as many of them as possible. So when we draw from our Gardevoir deck, we want there to be as many Kirlias in the deck as possible, which means not searching for it, leaving the deck as it is, drawing them to have a higher probability, and then searching for Kirlia. And like I mentioned earlier, all of these things in isolation marginally increase your chances of winning. But when you do all of them in the same game, in the same round, you will see more wins. You will see more lines open up. And this is what makes playing a card game a lot different than playing something like chess, is we have these selections, we have these types of sequencing, and we have this manipulation of probability from your side. So yeah, in your games, really pay attention to what cards you play and in what order you play them in. Are the times that I draw from my deck, am I ensuring that I have the highest probability of drawing into what I want? Or did I mess it up by searching what I want from the deck already? If you have something that draws you cards, how can I make sure that the probability of me drawing into or not drawing into a specific card are the greatest? If I already have enough basics, for example, let me nest ball for this basic so I don't Chorus Experiment or Professor's Research into that basic again. So I hope all of this helped. I tried to go in depth as I can about sequencing. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.